10 things I wish I knew before visiting and living in Poland. I just finished 7 weeks in Poland, almost 2 months living there. The majority of that time was in Warsaw, and then I spent a little bit of time in Krakow. And I want to share with you 10 things that I think would make your trip a lot better, whether you're visiting or you're planning on living there more of a permanent stay. I think I kind of had a nice in-between where I was there for a while. By the way, you're probably wondering, hey, this doesn't look like Poland. It's not. I am now in a new country I'm visiting. Recently arrived in Budapest, Hungary, and check it out. The lights at night are incredible. So we're gonna take a walk and I'm gonna share with you some things. First thing, make sure you buy a ticket, and the right type of ticket, when you're doing trains or anything else, or you will be slapped, as I was, with a very painful, heavy fee by a ticket validator guy. So this was completely unintentional, but literally within the first hour I was there, on my train ride from the airport to where I'm staying in Poland, this super serious Polish guy who barely spoke any English didn't fully understand what I was saying either. Just like had no sympathy for me. Kind of left a bad taste on my initial impression of Poland, but I get it. He was doing his job, but it was just like, I bought a ticket. It wasn't the right ticket format. It's my first day ever in Poland. I didn't know any better. He would not relent. He wouldn't give me a discount. I ended up paying like more than 10 times the fee of the ticket. I can't remember the exact amount, but probably like $50 US as a penalty fee of some sort because I got the wrong ticket. Looking back, what ticket did I get? I accidentally got the discounted student ticket, which is why he kept asking me to show an ID, which is 50% off. Now the difference between the two, one is like $2, one is $1. It really was an honest mistake. I was clicking through the buttons there. Everything was in Polish. I didn't understand what was being said. I could go on a rant about this. People may not believe I wasn't being honest. But really bad taste to my first experience. But as I said when I filmed the video afterwards, when that happened, this does not reflect the country. This is just one guy who has a difficult, nasty job. So be careful of that. And if you're also thinking, oh, maybe I will skip paying the ticket because no one's going to check me like they do in other cities, and then I'll save some money. Poland's different. There's ticket validators fairly often, and for me, as a rule follower anyways, this is something you should be doing anyways. Check out this beautiful view. Okay, number 2, second thing is milk bar restaurants. These are kind of like local restaurants that are very affordable, have a lot of Polish local foods, and pretty healthy and tasty. You can get everything from pierogies to chicken legs to rice to sauerkraut to a bunch of pickled vegetables. This is great. I wish I discovered this a bit sooner because I wanted to stay healthy. I couldn't be just eating out all the time. And it's also very affordable. They kind of sprang up, I think, like in the 80s. And they're just like an affordable way to get your food intake in and still experience some local cuisines. So I ate at these often. And sure, the service is not going to be as spectacular. Maybe they'll be out of some food menu items, but it's quite affordable. I recommend checking out more than one because the variance of the variety of the menu and the quality of the food and all the things can vary a lot from one to the other. But if you search for these milk bars restaurants, I think it's first a great tourist thing to check, but also a great experience. Third thing I wish I knew in Poland is check out a daytime coffee rave. This one's kind of random, but amazing. I haven't experienced this type of thing in any other country like this, but It's somewhat niche even in Poland, but in the daytime here, they'll have these raves, and a lot of people will show up. Family, parents, young people, and you're basically having a rave with the DJ in the daytime. Like we're talking like 8 a.m. to like 1 p.m. and it's packed, it's crazy, the music's bumping. It's more of like a light, soft house music, but it's still super pumping, super energetic. I'd never experienced anything like that. In the US, where I'm from, like you just don't have that like to that degree. Like you may have those like silent disco parties where everyone has headphones on, but this was at a different level. There's just so many people there pumping in the music, and you can see some videos of that in my Instagram pinned stories. But it was pretty cool, and it was like in the daytime, so you don't have to stay up late, you don't have to get drunk, you don't have to do all this stuff. It's not like crowded and noisy, and you can't hear because the music's so blinding loud. It's more mellow but still super fun. Okay, number fourth thing you want to look out for in Poland is always tip when you're doing walking tours. First off, do a walking tour. They're the quickest and best way of getting to know a city from a local. And I've done probably over 20 across many different countries around the world. I love them. They're a great way of getting acquainted with the city quickly, but also make sure you tip well. I think it's explained at the start, and I think people get it, but I don't know. Sometimes, depending on the city, I feel like the tour guides are maybe a bit too respectful, and they don't really emphasize it. And then I feel like some people, they don't really tip, or they tip poorly, but that's their whole income. And so because these are independent companies offering free tours, like that's how they make their money. So it's kind of disrespectful. I always tip every single free walking tour I do, and it's a great way of getting acquainted with the city. Check it out, beautiful. All right, number fifth thing you got to watch out for is Żabkas. Żabkas are essentially the 7-Eleven of Poland. They're convenience stores, and there's a lot of them, like on every block. So it's clearly a very successful company. And just like I was in Japan, it's something that's quite convenient. I wish I found them sooner, but it really helped me stock up on all the needs that I had throughout the day. Everything from water, soda, snacks, protein bars. I had to get my protein in every day. Beef jerky, Greek yogurt. And they're open fairly late. I think they close around 10 to 11 p.m. And it was just a quick way of getting all your supplies. So super helpful. When I'm stressed, I look for a Żabka. I always find one, and it was super helpful. Number 6, grocery stores. I recommend Carrefour and Biedronka. Carrefour is very common everywhere. That's Carrefour, I believe. And they're great. Now, if you're like balling out of control and you can just eat out at restaurants every day, maybe not a big deal, but there are grocery stores that sell more than just food. So if you need some lotion, if you need any other supplies, towels, I had to buy a bunch of different things. Like I had to buy a container to hold my protein powder because I'd be traveling soon. I had a bunch of different things I needed. So those stores are pretty extensive. You can get all sorts of stuff that I needed there. So check it out, Carrefour. I got some great chicken there, rotisserie chicken. And it's a great way of just like staying budget friendly while hitting all your extra needs. All right, next one. Make sure you don't cross the roads when the light tells you not to. Now, once again, you might be like, why? Why are you just a stickler for rules? Once again, you want me to follow the rules? Well, once again, this country is not like your home country. There are people who will fine you if you walk across a street without lights. The tour guide at my tour told me about this, and she said even at night, young people at like 2 a.m., when there's no one else on the roads, they'll wait until the light changes to cross. Now, did I see people breaking this rule? Yes. I was there for a long time, and I would say like 5% of people would still kind of break this rule, but the vast majority followed it. And it's because this country is just much more strict with the consequences of if you get caught not following it. So just something to consider when you're crossing the roads, even though there's no cars, could be a bad decision in the long run. Okay, next one. This is just a more fun, positive one. Realize that the Polish people and the Polish country is friendly and nice and welcoming. I think sometimes at first it can feel like they're not, because at least for me, I'm in a new foreign country. I'm Asian, which is very uncommon there. Everyone's basically white. I felt kind of out of place. I don't know the country, and I'm not saying everyone's nice to you, but they're definitely nice if you can speak some Polish, so learn a little bit. And they're generally nicer than the USA. As I said in another video, I even did some approaches there. I approached some women, and I was scared to death at times about it. And surprisingly, they were nice. I mean, not always. Some were just like in the US, you know, they would reject you immediately. They'd be very cold. They'd tell you to leave. Some could be quite harsh and rude, and that can hurt. But on the other end, some were friendly enough to give you the time of day. They would let you talk for a few minutes. Even if they weren't interested, they would still like entertain a conversation with you for like 3 minutes before, you know, saying they had to go, or that they weren't interested, or they had a boyfriend. So it's quite different from the US a bit, because I think in the US the women can be just a bit more cruel and just be like, don't want to talk. So really relish in that. The guys are friendly too. It was a pretty nice place. And then the 10th piece of advice, and this is a big one, so make sure you really pay attention to this. When you're in Poland, make sure you have a working translator app and cell service. On the day-to-day, it may not be a big deal, but what I found is a good amount of people don't speak English. It was more than I expected. At first I thought, okay, most people, especially the young ones, would speak English. But even the young ones, sometimes, they did not. They only spoke Polish, or they spoke very little English. So, I mean, it's hard to give you a percentage. I would say like, it's not too hard to find someone who speaks English. I would say like 50 to 80% do speak some proficient amount, but it was enough to cause problems. One example was another video I did where I was trying to buy it. Well, I already bought the ticket, but I was trying to go from Warsaw to Krakow. I already bought my long distance train ticket at the train station, and you can watch that other video for details. A long story short, I had a difficult time and a misunderstanding with the ticket customer service person at the Warsaw train station, and she was all flustered and upset, like I wasn't getting it, like, you know, this is it, like this is all you can do, like I was pushing for something. It was a misunderstanding, but unfortunately, since I couldn't speak the language, I could not explain that to her. I could not really explain why she didn't need to be so worked up. And really, I was just asking which train station and which train I depart from, because the digital boards were showing different things. And it turns out the name of the destination was further down the line, which is why it didn't say Krakow on the machine. And I figured it out eventually thanks to a more friendly associate there as well, who pointed and kind of explained in broken English. But it would have been much better had I just had a working translation app. Long story short, my cell service sucks, and it just couldn't translate, and there's no Wi-Fi. So really having that in clutch moments when it's really important makes a huge difference. So you're not like getting into these unnecessarily heated arguments. I think the woman thought I was trying to force something or do something different, and she even recommended the wrong train station the first time I went to her. But you can see more details on that other video if you're curious. Point is, keep that in mind. They're not all naturally good English speakers, and that can be a problem when it matters. So those are 10 things I wish I knew. Honestly, Poland is a pretty smooth country. I was scared at first because I didn't know much about it when I entered, but it's, especially Warsaw, it's very much modernized. It has all the modern things that a London or a New York City would in various ways. Not always, but in a lot of ways. So you're not gonna have too much problems there, but some of those things, as I did mention, could have saved me some stress, some heartache, some confusion. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what video you want to see me do next as I travel around the world. And I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this bridge in Budapest and these lights. See you later. Subscribe, like, and